So you got a traffic ticket in New Jersey, and someone tells you, just plead to unsafe operation. It doesn't have any points. That probably sounds like exactly what you want. But is that exactly the smartest move? Or could you be paying hundreds of dollars more for a plea you didn't really need? Luckily, I may have the answer for you. Coming up in this video, you'll learn 3 things you need to know before deciding whether to plead to unsafe operation. First, what an unsafe operation ticket actually is and why it's often used in traffic court as a no-point plea option. Second, whether pleading to it is actually better than taking the original ticket. Because avoiding points sounds good, but depending on your driving record and the cost, it may not always be the best move. And third, what you should check before making that decision, including your driving abstract, your current point total, whether you're close to a surcharge or suspension, and whether unsafe operation is even available to you. The goal is simple. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of whether unsafe operation is a smart plea option for your situation, or whether you need to think twice before taking the deal. Now imagine you're standing in traffic court and there are 2 doors in front of you. Behind one door is the original ticket. Maybe it carries points, but it may cost less money. Behind the other door is unsafe operation. That may avoid points, but it usually costs more money and is not something you use over and over again. So the question isn't simply, how do I avoid points? The better question is, which door is actually better for me based on my driving record, the ticket I received, and what I'm trying to protect? This plea option is a tool. It can be very helpful in the right situation, but it's not automatic and it's not always the best deal. So let's start with what unsafe operation actually is and why it even exists as a plea option in New Jersey traffic court. Now, this is a New Jersey traffic offense that was created to give drivers a limited option to avoid points on moving violations that carry them. That's why so many people think of it as the no point ticket. But there's something important you need to understand. It can be a no point plea, but it's not the same thing as getting the ticket dismissed. You're still pleading guilty to a traffic offense. You may avoid points, but you're still paying fines, court costs, and the unsafe operation surcharge. It's not a magic eraser. It may avoid the points, but it doesn't erase the case, the fines, or the cost of resolving the ticket. Now, it's easy to understand why this plea option sounds attractive. Most people who call about it are worried about points. They don't want points on their driving record. They don't want their insurance premiums to go up. And they don't want to get closer to a surcharge or a license suspension. If you're watching this, you may not care what the ticket's called. You just want to know whether there's a way to keep points off your record. For a first or second offense of unsafe operation within the 5-year period of the statute, it can help you avoid points. But before you decide that's what you want, you need to understand the trade-off. Unsafe operation may avoid points, but it usually costs more than simply pleading to a low-level point ticket. Let's give a speeding ticket as an example. If you're charged with speeding of up to 14 miles per hour over the limit, that ticket carries 2 points. It has a fine of $500 to $200 plus court costs of about $33. If the court imposes the minimum fine, you're looking at about $83 plus 2 points. Now, compare that to unsafe operation. A first offense plea has a fine of $50 to $150, court costs, and a $250 surcharge. So at the minimums, you're looking at about $333. If this is your second unsafe operation plea within 5 years, the fine is higher. At minimums, that may be about $383. So you may be paying roughly $250 to $300 more to avoid 2 points. Sometimes that's worth it, sometimes it isn't. That's why the question isn't, can I avoid points? The better question is, are these particular points worth paying extra money to avoid? If you have a clean driving record or if you're only facing a low-level ticket, unsafe operation may not be necessary. For example, if you're only facing 2 points and you don't already have a lot of points on your record, or any points, the cheaper original ticket may sometimes make more sense. But if you already have points or you're close to a key threshold, then avoiding points may be worth the extra money. So, what are the point thresholds that matter? In New Jersey, two numbers are especially important. First, if you get 6 or more points within 3 years, you can be assessed a surcharge. Second, if you get 12 or more points, your license can be suspended. The surcharge also matters because it has a cost. If you accumulate 6 or more points within the applicable period, the surcharge is $150 plus $25 for each additional point over 6. So if you have no points on your record, paying hundreds more to avoid 2 points may not be the same decision as someone who already has 10 points and is staring at a possible suspension. That's important because it helps you compare the cost of taking points against the cost of pleading to unsafe operation. With this in mind, before you plead to it, you need to check a few things. First, check your New Jersey driving abstract. Don't guess. Don't rely on memory. Pull the abstract and see what's actually there. Next, look at how many points you currently have. Then ask whether this ticket would push you over 6 or more points within 3 years, and whether it would move you closer to 12 points and a possible suspension. You also need to know whether you've used unsafe operation in the last 5 years. Would this be your first plea, your second, or your third? That matters because if it's your third, you'll not only not get points, you'll get 4 of them. Don't make this decision from memory. Pull your abstract. Know your point total. Know whether you've used unsafe operation before, then decide. Unsafe operation is not something drivers can use over and over again to avoid points. And that's a big deal. Why? Because you don't want to waste an unsafe operation plea on a small ticket where the points may not have mattered, only to wish you had that option later for a more serious ticket. You should also consider whether your insurance company may treat the original ticket differently from unsafe operation. Insurance is separate from motor vehicle points, so don't assume that no points automatically means no insurance issue. There are also two important situations where unsafe operation doesn't solve the problem. The first is if you have a probationary license, usually when you're under 18. If you do, the unsafe operation option is not available because you can't avoid points entirely. That matters because points on a probationary license can trigger additional consequences, including driver improvement requirements and possible delays or suspension issues if you get over 3 points. The second exception is if you don't have a New Jersey driver's license. In that instance, what matters is what your home state does after your New Jersey reports the violation. Unsafe operation may well translate to a violation in that state that carries points. So before you plead to it, you need to know whether you're even in the category of drivers this plea is designed to help. So how do you decide whether this is right for you? First, you must have a non-probationary New Jersey driver's license. Then it may be a good option if the ticket carries points, and those points would put you near a surcharge or a suspension. Or if you already have points, you haven't used unsafe operation too often, and avoiding the point consequences is worth more than the extra cost. But it may not be the best option if the original ticket carries only 2 points, you have a clean or low point record, and the extra cost is not justified by the risk, or if you need to save the unsafe operation plea for a future, more serious ticket. And it may not help you if you have a probationary license or if you're licensed outside New Jersey and need to understand what your home state may do with a New Jersey ticket. So the bottom line is this. Unsafe operation can be a very useful plea in New Jersey traffic court, but only in the right situation. If you received a traffic ticket in Burlington, Camden, Gloucester, Salem, or Cumberland County here in New Jersey, you can click the link in the description to schedule a call in my office. But if you don't have a New Jersey driver's license, the real question becomes what your home state will do with a New Jersey ticket. So if you have a Pennsylvania license and got a speeding ticket in New Jersey, watch my video on what happens to my PA license if I get a speeding ticket in New Jersey. And if you have a Delaware license, watch my video on what happens to my Delaware license if I get a speeding ticket in New Jersey. Those videos will help you to understand what may happen after the New Jersey ticket gets reported back to your home state.